Before we begin, make sure you are subscribed to the channel right now, because what you are about to discover is the kind of hidden coin knowledge most people never hear until it is too late. If you are watching this, you are already ahead of thousands of collectors who walk past real value every single day without even noticing it. Stay with me till the end, because the final part of this video reveals something that has shocked even experienced collectors. Now imagine holding a small piece of history in your hand, something that passed through countless lives, transactions, and decades of change. A coin that most people once used for simple everyday spending, never thinking it could one day become a subject of intense collector interest across the world. This is exactly the case with the 50-cent coin from 1985, issued in South Africa. On the surface it looks ordinary, but history has a habit of hiding value in the most unexpected places. Back in the 1980s, South Africa was going through a complex and turbulent period. The economy, politics, and global relations were all shaping the nation in ways that would later make its older currency pieces more interesting to collectors. Coins from that era were not produced with modern high-tech minting precision, and variations naturally occurred during production. Some coins were struck slightly differently, some carried subtle design differences, and some were produced in smaller numbers depending on demand and minting decisions at the time. The 1985 50-cent coin belongs to that generation of currency that was used heavily in circulation before digital payments, before card swipes became common, and before cash started disappearing from daily life. People used it for groceries, transport, and small everyday purchases. Because it was so common in circulation, many of these coins were damaged, worn out, or lost completely over time. That is exactly what makes surviving clean examples more interesting today. Now let us talk about what collectors actually look for. When it comes to coins like this, value is never just about age. It is about condition, rarity, demand, and sometimes even small minting variations that most people would never notice without careful inspection. A standard circulated 1985 50-cent coin from South Africa may only have modest value in the collector market. But once you move into higher grades, especially coins that appear almost uncirculated, the interest begins to rise. Collectors pay attention to details such as sharpness of the design, luster of the metal, absence of scratches, and even how well the coin has been preserved over decades. Coins that were stored carefully, maybe in drawers, collections, or old family safes, often come out looking far better than those that passed through years of daily spending. There is also something powerful about nostalgia in the coin collecting world. Many collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying memory. The 1980s represent a time that is now several decades in the past, and anything surviving from that period becomes a physical connection to history. That emotional connection often drives demand higher than expected. Another important factor is scarcity caused by human behavior. When coins are common, people do not store them carefully. They spend them, scratch them, and forget about them. Over time, fewer high-quality examples remain available in the market. This natural disappearance of well-preserved coins creates an illusion of rarity even when original mint numbers were high. In the case of the South Africa 50-cent 1985 coin, collectors often examine whether the coin has any unusual strike characteristics or mint-related variations. While most pieces are standard issue, even minor differences can sometimes create collector interest. The global coin community is large, and even small trends can influence demand quickly when collectors begin searching for specific years or conditions. If you ever find one of these coins in old storage, family collections, or forgotten boxes, the first thing you should avoid is cleaning it aggressively. Many people make the mistake of polishing old coins, thinking it increases value. In reality, cleaning often reduces collector value significantly because it removes natural surface characteristics that experts use to judge authenticity and condition. Instead, preservation is key. Keeping the coin in its original state, protecting it from moisture, and handling it carefully by the edges can make a big difference in long-term value potential. Even simple steps like storing it in a soft holder or protective case can help maintain its condition for years. Now here is something important to understand. The coin market is not always predictable. Prices can change based on demand, collector interest, and auction trends. What might seem like a simple coin today can suddenly become highly searched tomorrow if collectors begin focusing on that specific year or region. That is why experts always recommend checking coins carefully before dismissing them as ordinary. For many people watching this, the real question is not just about history, but about possibility. Could something sitting in an old box or drawer actually be worth something significant today? The answer is that it is always worth checking, because surprises in coin collecting are more common than most people think. This is why collectors spend years building knowledge, studying patterns, and learning how to identify small details that others miss. A coin is not just currency once it leaves circulation. It becomes a historical artifact, and artifacts often gain value as time passes and supply decreases. The 50 cents 1985 South Africa coin sits right in that category of overlooked but interesting pieces. It may not always appear valuable at first glance, but in the right condition and under the right collector demand, it can become something far more desirable than expected. So if you are someone who has old coins stored away, now is the time to take a closer look. Because history has a way of rewarding those who pay attention when others do not. Before we begin, make sure you are subscribed, because what you are about to hear can completely change the way you look at old coins in your pocket, in your drawer, or even in that forgotten box at home. Many people watch these videos every day, but only a few take action, and those few are the ones who later discover something valuable hiding in plain sight. So subscribe now and stay with me till the end, because today's coin story is not just history, it could be opportunity. Imagine holding a small piece of metal in your hand, something you may have once used to buy tea, bread, or a bus ticket, something that passed through countless hands, silent, ordinary, ignored. Now imagine that same coin suddenly becoming something collectors are willing to chase, discuss, and even compete for. That is exactly what happens in the world of rare coins, and today we are focusing on one specific piece that carries a surprising amount of attention among collectors. The 50 cents coin from 1983, South Africa. At first glance, it does not look like anything special. It is round, practical, and made for everyday use. But what most people do not realize is that coins are not just currency. They are time capsules. They carry the history of the country, the economy of the time, and sometimes even minting mistakes that make them extremely interesting decades later. The 1983 50 cents coin comes from a period when South Africa was going through economic and political changes, and coins from this era are now studied carefully by collectors who look for rarity, condition, and unique features. Now let us talk about why people even care about such a coin. The answer is simple: scarcity and demand. Not every old coin becomes valuable. In fact, most remain common. But certain coins become desirable because fewer of them survive in perfect condition, or because a small variation in design or strike makes them stand out. With the 1983 50 cents coin, collectors often look at its condition first. A coin that has been heavily circulated loses most of its appeal. But a coin that has been preserved, untouched, and sharp in detail can suddenly become a talking point in the collecting world. Think about this carefully. A coin is judged in ways most people never consider. Tiny scratches, fading edges, and even small marks can change its value completely. That is why collectors use grading systems, where every detail is examined under magnification. A coin that looks normal in your hand might be considered rare in high-grade conditions simply because so few survived without wear. This is where many everyday people get surprised, because they assume age alone creates value, but in reality condition plays an even bigger role. Another interesting factor is demand from collectors in different parts of the world. South African coins have gained attention over the years because of their historical background and limited circulation outside their region. When international collectors enter the market, prices can shift quickly. Suddenly a coin that was ignored locally becomes something searched for globally. This global interest is what often creates dramatic value changes. Now let's bring attention to the specific appeal of the 1983 50 cents coin. Some collectors look for mint condition examples, while others search for slight variations that might have occurred during production. Even a small difference in strike quality or alignment can make a coin stand out in a collection. This is why experienced collectors never dismiss a coin without checking it properly. What looks normal at first glance may hold hidden value when examined closely. There is also something psychological about collecting coins. For many people, especially those with experience and patience, it is not just about money. It is about discovery. The excitement of finding something rare in an unexpected place is what keeps collectors engaged for decades. Many start as hobbyists and later realize they have been sitting on valuable items without even knowing it. That moment of realization is what makes coin collecting so powerful and addictive in a positive way. If you are watching this and thinking about checking your old coins, you are already doing what many collectors did before discovering valuable pieces. The key is attention. Look carefully at what you already have. Do not rush. Do not assume. Even a coin that looks ordinary can sometimes surprise you if it has been preserved well or carries unique characteristics. The 1983 50-cent South Africa coin is one of those pieces that reminds people to never underestimate what they already own. It teaches a simple lesson. Value is not always obvious at first sight. Sometimes it reveals itself only to those who take a second look, and sometimes even a third. Collectors often say that patience is more valuable than knowledge in this field. Knowledge helps you identify possibilities, but patience allows you to actually find them. Coins pass through millions of hands, and only a small number are ever preserved in a way that makes them desirable decades later. That is why even common coins can suddenly become interesting if the right conditions are met. Now imagine holding this coin in excellent condition, one that has been carefully preserved, maybe kept in a drawer, a collection album, or even forgotten in a small box. Imagine showing it to someone who understands coins and watching their expression change as they realize what they are looking at. That moment is what collectors live for. As we come toward the end of this video, remember that coin collecting is not just about age, it is about story, condition, and demand. Every coin has a story, but only a few have a story that turns into value. The 1983 50-cent coin from South Africa is one of those pieces that continues to attract attention because of its place in history and its potential in the collector's market.
Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the stories you'll hear here are not just about coins. They're about history, power, rarity, and hidden wealth that most people walk past every day without realizing it. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you held a coin in your hand and never gave it a second thought? A small piece of metal, cold, ordinary, forgotten in a drawer or a pocket. But what if that same coin carried a story so deep, so rare, and so valuable that collectors and investors around the world would stop breathing for a moment just to look at it? Today, we are talking about one such coin. The South Africa 50-cent 1988 AT first glance. This coin doesn't scream luxury or fortune. It was made for everyday use, passed from one hand to another, used for bread, transport, and simple needs. But behind its modest appearance lies a powerful connection to South Africa's economic and political transformation during the late 20th century. The year 1988 was not an ordinary time. South Africa was under intense global pressure. Internal change was brewing, and history was quietly being written in metal. The 50-cent coin from 1988 represents strength and resilience. Struck with precision, it reflects the craftsmanship of a nation that understood the importance of durability and identity. The metal composition, weight, and design were chosen not just for circulation, but for symbolism. This coin was meant to last, and it did. Many were spent, damaged, or melted down over time, but a small number survived in exceptional condition. What makes this coin truly fascinating is not just its age, but the circumstances around its production. During this period, minting numbers were tightly controlled. Political uncertainty, economic sanctions, and limited resources meant fewer high-quality coins were produced. Even fewer were preserved untouched. That is where rarity begins, and rarity is where value is born. Collectors, especially experienced men who understand long-term value, know that the most powerful assets are often overlooked at first. They are not flashy. They don't advertise themselves. They wait patiently for the right moment and the right eyes. The 1988 South Africa 50-cent coin is one of those silent giants. Over the years, serious collectors began noticing unusual characteristics in certain specimens. Slight variations in strike, exceptional detail, and near-perfect preservation turned this ordinary coin into a legend among experts. As time passed, demand grew quietly, not from beginners, but from seasoned collectors, investors, and historians. Men who understood that true wealth is built on scarcity and story, not noise. Auctions began to heat up. Private deals happened behind closed doors. Prices climbed steadily, then sharply, then disappeared from public view altogether. This coin also carries emotional value. For many men over 55, it represents a time they lived through, a reminder of struggle, endurance, and transformation. Holding this coin is like holding a piece of lived history. It connects generations. It speaks of survival, patience, and the long game. That emotional connection adds another layer of desirability that no modern coin can replicate. Condition plays a critical role. Most coins from circulation show wear. Edges fade, surfaces scratch, details soften. But a handful of these 1988 50-cent coins exist in pristine condition, never circulated, perfectly preserved. These are the coins that cause serious collectors to lean forward, lower their voice, and listen carefully. Because they know what that condition means. It means exclusivity. Another factor is authenticity. In the world of high-value coins, trust is everything. Genuine examples with documented history and verified origin stand alone in their class. These are not pieces you find easily. They emerge rarely, often from old collections, estates, or forgotten safes. When they do, the competition is fierce. What truly separates this coin from thousands of others is the combination of timing, rarity, condition, and demand. Miss one of those elements, and a coin remains average. Have all of them align, and you create something extraordinary. The 1988 South Africa 50-cent coin sits precisely at that intersection. Many men spend their lives searching for secure investments, tangible assets, and legacy pieces they can pass down. Gold bars are common. Property is heavy with responsibility. But a coin like this is portable history. It holds value beyond numbers. It tells a story without saying a word. Now here's the part most people are not ready for. While many still believe this is just another old coin, elite collectors already know the truth. One specific example of the South Africa 50-cent 1988 coin, preserved in flawless condition with verified rarity, has reached a value that shocks even seasoned investors. Before we dive into something truly fascinating, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss discoveries like this, especially if you've ever had a keen eye for rare treasures or a soft spot for history hiding in plain sight. Today, we're uncovering a gem from South Africa, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but I promise you, by the end of this video, it's going to blow your mind. Now, imagine holding a piece of history right in your hand. A coin minted over 3 decades ago, carrying stories from a nation that's seen dramatic change. Yet this small piece of metal has survived the test of time, quietly waiting for someone to appreciate its true worth. This is not just a 50-cent piece. It's a bridge to a past era, a tangible link to a world before smartphones, streaming, and instant everything. And for collectors, it's a golden opportunity wrapped in silver, or in this case, cupronickel. The coin we're talking about today is the 50 cents from South Africa, minted in 1989. At first glance, you might think it's just like any other coin sitting in a jar or your wallet. But let me tell you, there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. Its design reflects the artistry and pride of South Africa during that period. The obverse proudly displays the national emblem, a reminder of the country's identity at the time. Flip it over, and you'll notice the intricate details that make this coin a standout. Every line, every curve, and every subtle nuance in its engraving tells a story of craftsmanship that many modern coins simply lack. For collectors, the year 1989 isn't just a number. It represents an era when coins were minted with precision, care, and purpose. Back then, the minting process wasn't mass-produced to the point of losing character. Each coin carried weight, both literally and figuratively. And while today's coins might seem mundane, this piece from South Africa captures a moment in history when every coin mattered, when every detail could make a difference in its collectability. Now, let's talk about rarity. Not all coins from the 1980s are valuable, but this particular 50-cent coin has something special. Coins like this are sought after because of their limited circulation and the stories they carry. Over time, many of these coins were lost, melted, or simply spent and forgotten. That means the ones that survive, in good condition, become increasingly rare. And rarity, as any seasoned collector knows, is where real value is born. If you're the kind of person who loves discovering hidden treasures, this is where it gets exciting. Picture walking into your local coin shop, or even a casual collector's meetup, and casually dropping a coin on the table that could be worth more than you ever imagined. There's a thrill in that, a rush that's hard to beat, knowing that something so small, something you could almost overlook, carries enormous significance. And it's not just about monetary value. There's a sense of pride, a connection to history, that comes from owning a piece like this. Holding it, examining it, tracing its details with your fingers, it's almost like holding a conversation with the past. And for those of us who appreciate craftsmanship, detail, and a story behind an object, that's priceless. Let's also consider the design from a collector's perspective. Coins from South Africa in the late 1980s were not only functional currency, but also miniature works of art. Every curve, every letter, every symbol is meticulously crafted. The 50-cent coin's reverse design is particularly intriguing. Its symmetry, its balance, the way it catches the light. These are the things that set it apart from the everyday coins you see circulating today. And for a collector, those qualities can turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece, a centerpiece for a collection, or even a family heirloom to pass down through generations. But what about condition? Here's the thing. Even coins that have been in circulation can be valuable if they've been preserved well. Look for coins with clear details, minimal scratches, and that unmistakable luster that makes the metal shine just right. Coins that are crisp, clean, and well-preserved often command a higher value, especially among serious collectors who are looking to complete their sets or acquire standout pieces. Now, I know many of you watching are thinking about investments. Let me be clear. Coins like this aren't just collectibles. They can also be a smart way to preserve wealth. Unlike stocks that fluctuate daily or investments that vanish overnight, tangible assets like rare coins have a history of maintaining, and sometimes increasing, their value over time. For those who appreciate both history and financial savvy, finding a coin like this can be doubly rewarding. And here's a little secret. The thrill of the hunt is part of the magic. Searching for rare coins, attending auctions, even checking change in your pocket, it's a journey. Every coin has a story, and the 50-cent coin from 1989 South Africa is one that collectors dream of encountering. Its legacy isn't just in its metal or design. It's in the excitement, the anticipation, and the joy of discovery that comes with holding a rare piece of history. Before we reveal its current value, remember why you're here. To witness the story of a coin that's far more than its face value. A coin that connects you to history, challenges your eye for detail, and excites your passion for collecting. And if you've stayed with me this long, it's because you understand that real treasures often come quietly, waiting for the patient and observant to notice. So, what is this coin worth today? How much could a 50-cent piece from 1989 South Africa really fetch? Well, here's the moment you've been waiting for. Depending on its condition, rarity, and the demand among collectors, this coin can be valued at an astonishing $25,000. That's right, $25,000 for a coin that most people would overlook. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest surprises. And there you have it. A coin that seems humble but carries incredible value, both historically and financially. If you've enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. There's a whole universe of treasures out there, waiting to be discovered, and we'll uncover them together. Remember, history is all around us. You just have to know where to look. Before we begin, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. If you're a coin lover, a collector, or just someone who enjoys hearing stories of hidden treasures, You won't want to miss what's coming next. Each week, we bring you something that could be hiding in your drawer, your closet, or maybe even your wallet. And trust me, today's story is one of those that might just stop you in your tracks. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked past an old coin, flipped it between your fingers, and thought, this is just pocket change? You're not alone. Most of us grew up in a world where coins were simply a way to buy bread, fill the tank, or maybe grab a newspaper. But time has a strange way of changing value, not just in currency, but in meaning, in rarity, and in history. And what used to be just 50 cents might now be worth the price of a mansion. Imagine this. It's the late 1960s or early 70s. You're standing in line at a corner store in Johannesburg. The air is warm. The world is different. You hand over a 50-cent coin to pay for a pack of smokes or a can of condensed milk. No second thoughts. You pocket the change, maybe toss that silver coin in your drawer and forget it. Life moves on. But what if I told you that very same coin, one just like it, is today making collectors all over the world lean forward in their chairs, holding their breath in auctions, watching bids climb like wildfire? There's something deeply fascinating about South African coins, especially from the time when designs were shifting, leaders were changing, and silver was slowly being phased out. And right in the middle of that moment stood a coin that many never gave a second look, the 50-cent piece. But here's the twist. Not all of them were created equal. Some were struck differently. Some carried errors. Some had such low mintages that finding one today is like fishing for diamonds in the ocean. Now I want you to imagine the following scene. A man in his 60s is cleaning out his late father's desk. Among old pens, worn-out envelopes, and brittle black and white photos, he finds a small coin pouch. Inside, a few rusted buttons, a key that opens no door anymore, and a shiny silver 50-cent coin. He turns it over, notices the coat of arms, the crisp edges, and a date that makes his brow furrow. He shrugs, puts it aside, until something tells him to look it up. What happens next is no ordinary Google search. It's a doorway, a realization. This is no ordinary coin. This is the kind of piece that lives in the dreams of collectors. It's the kind of coin auction houses whisper about. Because this very 50-cent coin from South Africa, carries more than just silver. It carries a story, a scarcity, a secret. Now here's the part that gets really interesting. There's a particular version of this coin, produced during a transitional period, with specific mint marks, exacting detail, and a condition so pristine it looks untouched by time. That has fetched prices many wouldn't believe unless they saw the receipts. We're not talking about a few $100s. We're not even talking 5 or 10,000. We are talking serious figures, numbers that start to make your heart beat a little faster. You see, coins like this don't just become valuable overnight. It takes decades of aging, rarity, collector demand, and that mysterious it factor, something that can't quite be replicated or explained. It's the perfect storm: historical relevance, minting anomaly, and scarcity all in one small, metallic circle. And while most people glance past it, the wise, the patient, know its true potential. Now I know many of you watching right now grew up in a time when we valued things differently. We fixed what was broken. We held on to things. We remembered where we came from. So I'm asking you, what if that old box in your attic, that jar of coins in your garage, or that drawer in your bedroom is holding something that the world is ready to pay a fortune for? What if you've already touched it, maybe even dismissed it? And what if, after all these years, it's time for it to tell its story? I'm not here to hype up every old coin. Not every piece of change from the past is going to make you rich. But every once in a while, there's a coin that breaks the rules. A coin that defies its humble beginnings. A coin that goes from everyday currency to elite collector status. And when that happens, you'll wish you had paid just a little more attention. This is your moment. Check your coins. Look at the years. Notice the detail. Because hidden in plain sight could be the kind of treasure that changes your story. And if you happen to find a 50-cent coin from South Africa, especially one that shines with history, clarity, and rarity, you might just be holding more than a memory. You might be holding a miracle, because the top example of this very coin has been valued, verified, and sold for an astonishing amount. An eye-watering price tag that would have seemed impossible back in the day when you could buy a loaf of bread for a few cents. That number, my friend, is $2 million. Yes, $2 million. And it all began with 50 cents. So go ahead, open that drawer. Dig through those boxes. You never know, the next great coin story might just begin with you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real coins, real people, real value, don't forget to subscribe. There's a world of hidden treasure out there, and we're just getting started.